evening. It's Saturday the 30th of October and it's just gone 6 o'clock. And first of all, I should say, you probably noticed we look a little bit different this week. That's because while we make a few changes, we're coming to you from the newsroom rather than the studio. So things may look a bit different. Hopefully the technology will all work okay. It's all been moved and hopefully it's going to work for us tonight. But I do apologise in advance if there are any technical issues. That's the problem with these sort of things. Anyway, in the headlines this week, Ofsted have been visiting some local activity holiday schemes for children and as a result have raised some serious safeguarding concerns at a number of activity centres, including the PGL Oslington Bay site in Weymouth. As a result, Ofsted have immediately suspended the registration for the provision of childcare services at all of the sites. It should be pointed out that this only affects childcare services provided for unaccompanied under 8-year-olds at these sites, and everything else is okay to continue as normal. Concerns have been raised about raw sewage being discharged into Weymouth Bay and turning up on the beach. This follows stories in the national media about a number of discharges across the country into rivers and the sea, which has come about due to the heavy rainfall and wastewater overspill systems where the sewage system can't cope. The Environment Agency have confirmed the storm overflows from Melcombe Avenue and Cranford Avenue in Weymouth do go to sea discharge when the system can't cope. And there would be a drop in the quality of water when this happens. Dorset Council, let's see if we can get some of our logos working. There we go. Dorset Council is preparing to upgrade the existing painted cycle lane along Dorchester Road, Weymouth, with some new features, making it safer for cyclists. The new intermittent bolt-down curbing and wands will be installed early in the new year and will enable more school children to travel safely by bicycle to Wey Valley Academy. The improvements will also provide residents of Redland, Broadway and Upwey with a safer direct route to Radipole Lane and the cycle route into Weymouth Town Centre. Dorchester Road is already one of the busiest routes for cycling in Weymouth, but cycle lanes without physical separation on busy roads like this aren't considered safe enough for the majority of people to choose to cycle. Residents and businesses will continue to have unobstructed access to their properties across the cycle lanes at all times, and buses will continue to have space to safely pull in and out of stops. The scheme will cost around £65,000 and is financed from the Active Travel Fund. Dorset Council was awarded £438,900 by the government last year after successfully bidding to the Department of Transport. The aim of the funding is to make it easier for people to walk and cycle more, to build physical activity more easily into people's lives, reduce congestion and reduce emission of local pollution. The emergency department at Dorset County Hospital has got improvements underway. The trust has received a one-off funding from NHS England of £15 million as part of a drive to upgrade a number of emergency departments across the country. The scheme aims to enhance infection prevention and control measures and reduce the risk of corridor care by increasing the capacity of the resuscitation and treatment areas. Dorset County Hospital is using the money to refurbish its current emergency department in preparation for longer-term plans to expand and transform both the emergency department and the intensive care unit. The building alterations are being carried out by Wilmot Dixon Construction and include 2 extensions, one in the courtyard at the rear of the emergency department and one at the front entrance, as well as all the refurbishment of the existing emergency department. It will provide a new entrance and waiting area, larger resuscitation rooms, bigger cubicles and many other improvements. The refurbishment work has been planned in a way that minimises disruption, making sure the emergency department remains open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All the works are expected to be completed in the summer of 2022. Doc Martin and Manhunt star Martin Clunes organised a special treat for patients at Weldmar Hospice in Dorset this week with a visit to the charity's inpatient unit at Dorchester, along with his horse Bruce, and you can see them up on the screen now. Bruce is a Clydesdale. He was introduced to patients staying at the hospice and patients attending day services on Tuesday this week, and you probably saw it covered on local TV as well. For any patients not well enough to go outside to see Bruce, Martin went in to see them with his dog, Bob Jackson. Martin says, "What I like about Weldmar is their work and people. It's no harm for me to do something like this, and I knew people would like to see Brucey. Animals cheer people up." Day services patient Corinne said, "I nearly didn't come today because I wasn't feeling well, but I'm so glad I've come because it really pushed my day up." Jenny Wood is Weldmar's day service lead and says, "It's quite a sight to have Bruce out on the lawn. It's so lovely to give people these experiences that are so unusual, and they can go and tell their families all about it. We're really grateful to Martin for bringing him along." Getting vaccinated is the best way of protecting yourself and those around you, and the booster vaccination is vital in maintaining protection against severe COVID this winter. The appeal coming out this week comes from Dorset, NHS Dorset, and continues the rollout of COVID-19 vaccination programme. Of course, across the country, this is the largest in the history of the NHS. Local GP and clinical lead for the COVID-19 vaccination programme in Dorset, Dr. Andy Rutland, said, "After several months of fairly steady case rates, we are now seeing an increase in the prevalence of COVID-19. So I would urge anyone who hasn't already done so to get both their initial vaccination doses, or if they're eligible, to book their booster jab. Generally speaking, the winter months see more people becoming ill and higher demand on health services, and there is no doubt that this year COVID-19 will be playing a major part in this picture. Those eligible for a booster COVID-19 vaccination includes everyone over 50, frontline health and social care workers, and those aged between 16 and 49 with underlying health conditions, which puts them at a greater risk from the virus." Invitation letters are going out to those eligible, asking them to book an appointment, which needs to be at least 6 months after their second dose. And you can book this via the National Booking System website or by calling 119. If someone has not been contacted and it's been 6 months plus 1 week, that's a total of 190 days, since their second dose, please try and book an appointment without getting your letter by going to the website or calling 119. You may also get contacted by your GP inviting you to book an appointment, and usually the contact from the local GPs comes in a text message to your mobile or a phone call. National Highways and the British Deer Society are warning drivers to be ever vigilant for deer on the roads after the clocks go back this weekend. There is a substantial increase in deer vehicle collisions from October to December each year. Poorer driving conditions and fewer hours of daylight, coupled with the annual breeding season, which is known as the rut for red, sika and fallow deer, make this a high-risk time of the year. Research over the years by the Deer Aware campaign has also found that the risk increases after the clock changes at the end of October. This is because drivers find themselves more likely to be on the road when deer are most active from sunset to midnight and the hours shortly before and after sunrise. Drivers may easily be caught unaware on roads they travel every day by the sudden appearance of deer in their path, but there are some simple tips they can use to help reduce the risk, and here are those simple tips to drivers. When you see deer warning signs or are travelling through a heavily wooded or forested stretch of road, check your speed and stay alert. If your headlights are on, use full beams when you can, but dip them if you see deer, as they may freeze on the spot instead of leaving the road if you have your full beams on. If you see a deer, look for another. They often gather in herds and follow each other as they move through the landscape. Only brake sharply and stop if there's no danger of being hit by following traffic. Use your hazard lights. Try to come to a stop as far from an animal as possible to enable it to leave the roadside without panic. Try not to suddenly swerve to avoid a deer hitting oncoming traffic or another obstacle could lead to a more serious collision. And if you must stop, use your hazard warning lights. Now, there are a number of places across the Weymouth and Dorchester areas where we often see deer, and the Dorchester bypass is one particular area where you can often see a group of deer on the banks right close to the road. So this is an issue for our area, so do be aware if you are travelling this time of year. Now, if there are any accidents, the police can be contacted and have specialists to deal with injured deer. Never try to move an injured deer off the road yourself, as this will put you in great risk of injury. Now, there is a national website if you want more information. It's www.deeraware.com. www.deeraware.com. That's DEER aware, AWARE.com. Dorset Council has launched a public consultation to inform how they develop and deliver their library service into the future. Library users and non-users are being asked to share their views. The consultation runs from the 25th of October, so it's already started, to the 7th of January. Libraries are at the heart of Dorset's communities and provide highly valued services including book lending, activities and events, reading groups, skills and learning, health and well-being, information provision, digital access and support, and art and cultural exhibitions. In fact, we've often mentioned the digital champions to help you with computers and IT equipment that work out of libraries as well. People of all ages can enjoy all of this and more within a safe and welcoming environment. There are 23 council-run and 8 community-managed libraries in the Dorset Council area. The current library strategy is 11 years old. Over those 11 years, there have been significant changes in public behaviour and digital technology, and the impacts of the COVID pandemic have also been felt. The consultation seeks to look to the future of Dorset's libraries. How can they best meet the needs of local residents and communities now and over the next 10 years? So the survey is going to run for the 11 weeks, and so it will go through to the 7th of January 2022. The survey responses will be brought together with evidence around local needs and responses from partner agencies as well. A draft strategy will then be produced, which will focus on a second consultation to be held in the summer of 2022. In addition to the main survey, there's a dedicated children's survey for those aged 5 to 15. So they're obviously looking at provision to adults, but also very interested in the future provision for children. All of the surveys can be accessed from the Dorset Council website at www.dorsetcouncil.gov.uk/let's-talk-libraries. So go to the Dorset Council website, and what you're looking for is the sub-page. So you put on the end /let's-talk-libraries. Support is also available if you can't use the website to either fill in a paper survey that you can pick up in each of the libraries, or you can speak to somebody on the telephone and they will do the survey questions and answers for you. And you can call 01305 221 000 for help doing the survey over the telephone. So that's 01305 221 000. And so you can pick up a paper copy in your local library. To say thank you to all those who complete the survey, there will be the option to be entered into a prize draw to win one of 2 prizes, either a Kindle Paperweight or an Amazon Echo Dot for the main survey, and for the children's survey, a £25 Amazon voucher. And there's going to be 3 of those for those that enter the children's survey. And if you're a Dorset Council employee, you're not able to enter the prize draw. So sorry about that. So do look out for that. The Driver, Vehicle and Licensing Agency has issued a warning to elderly drivers they must declare their medical conditions or face being fined. The government agency has urged drivers of any age to inform them of any conditions that may affect their driving, or they may be subject to a £1,000 penalty. At the moment, there are no laws or checks that assess the ability of elderly drivers to get behind the wheel, but there is an increasing public pressure for this to change. Recently, lawyers and leading driving experts have called for a biannual check to assess motorists' abilities to help clamp down on potential accidents. However, the DVLA has reminded drivers who have good eyesight, they have reminded drivers you should have good eyesight to be able to detect road hazards and prevent accidents. And it's highly recommended to motorists that they should attend regular eye checks and assess themselves from home. So if you've got any medical conditions or your eyesight is not up to scratch, you do have a duty to tell DVLA. And if you don't and you're involved in an accident, you could be fined £1,000 penalty. Weymouth Town Council. Let's stick a Weymouth Town Council logo up. There we go. Weymouth Town Council, in partnership with Friends of Lodmore Country Park, have designed and installed an educational tree trail around Lodmore Country Park. Everyone knows that trees are amazing. They filter out pollution, provide shade, slow down climate change, and provide food and shelter for wildlife. Not to mention supplying us with fruit, nuts, and wood. But do you know which tree's timber is the best for making boats? Or what species of tree was spread by squirrels? Or the best tree to plant outside your house to scare off witches? Oh, that's very relevant this time of year, isn't it? The newly installed tree trail at Lodmore Country Park will help you discover the answers to these questions and many more. Weymouth Town Council and the Friends of Lodmore Country Park have designed the circular trail, which starts near the main entrance to the park just before the children's play area. The tree trail highlights 16 trees around the country park and takes about 45 minutes to complete. Little ones can join in by spotting the tree detective boxes to find out which animals might live and feed in each tree. It's a tremendous autumn half-term activity. Well, it's a bit late now because autumn half-term's finished other than tomorrow, but a good weekend activity, of course. You can download a trail of the map trail by going to the Weymouth Town Council website and looking for the Lodmore-Tree-Trail page. So it's www.weymouthtown-council.gov.uk/Lodmore-Tree-Trail. I'm sure if you just go to the Weymouth Town Council website and type in Lodmore Tree Trail, you will find it. Leaflets can also be picked up from the Pitch and Putt kiosk or the model railway at the country park. Well, that sounds a nice new activity to do with the family on a nice, dry, crisp winter day. A generous donation from Batten's Charity, or Batten's Charitable Trust, will support the ongoing care of cancer patients at Dorset County Hospital. The recent donation of £1,500 will go towards the Dorset County Hospital chemotherapy appeal, which is funding the complete redevelopment of the Fortunes Well chemotherapy unit at the hospital. When the project is complete, it will provide a more pleasing environment for patient care and improve working facilities for the staff. There will be more space for visitors to sit with patients having treatment and dedicated areas for the storage and preparation of drug treatments. Naomi Dyer, a trustee of Batten's Charitable Trust, said, "We are delighted to make this grant towards the chemotherapy appeal because we understand how much difference this will make to patients treated at the hospital. We are very happy to be able to support Dorset County Hospital as it continues to improve care for all its patients." Batten's Charitable Trust previous support has included donations to the cancer appeal and in 2020 to the hospital's COVID-19 appeal. This supported staff working under pressure during the peak of the coronavirus pandemic and continues to provide facilities and services to protect the well-being of staff. Of course, if you want to make a charitable donation to Dorset County Hospital, if you're part of a charity or a work charity or some other trust, you can get information from Dorset County Hospital by emailing charity@dchft.nhs.uk. That's charity@dchft.nhs.uk, or just popping along to their special DCH charity website, which is www.dchcharity.org.uk. Well, that's the end of our headlines this evening. Now, did you know it's 70 years since the first zebra crossing was installed? Or is it zebra crossing? I say zebra crossing, you may say zebra crossing. Have you ever thought where they came from and where it all started. Well, this week, Janet Hall looks back at the history of zebra crossings.
70 years ago tomorrow, on the 31st of October 1951, zebra crossings were introduced officially in the UK. The first one was in Slough, Berkshire. The crossings had been trialled over 2 years at 1,000 experimental sites, but in 1951 the black and white striped pedestrian crossings were approved, with their flashing Belisha beacons, and all drivers were required by law to stop as soon as a pedestrian set foot on them. The crossings were the brainchild of Yorkshireman and traffic engineer George Charlesworth, a physicist who had worked on the Barnes-Wallis-designed bouncing bombs during the war. His zebra crossings were certainly responsible for saving many lives. The Belisha beacon, the amber-coloured globe atop of the tall black and white poles, were named after Leslie Hoare Belisha, the Minister of Transport, who in 1934 added beacons to pedestrian crossings, marked by large metal studs in the road surface. These crossings were later painted in black and white stripes, thus are known as zebra crossings. Legally, pedestrians have priority over wheeled traffic on such crossings. Belisha beacons provide additional visibility to zebra crossings for motorists, primarily at night. The crossings are set so that each beacon flashes alternately to the other side, but they often fall out of synchronization over time. In 2015, the first solar-powered Belisha beacon requiring no mains cabling was introduced using energy-saving technology. Some of the crossings have plastic poles that are translucent and lit internally. This is immediately apparent in dull weather and at night. The clearly illuminated white sections announce the presence of the poles, carrying the amber beacons, increasing the visibility of the crossing to all road users. These illuminated white sections can, however, obscure the presence of a pedestrian waiting to cross, as a driver can't see the dark shape behind the brighter light coming from the pole. To be legally compliant, every zebra crossing must be equipped with 2 Belisha beacons. Since the introduction of new regulations in 1997, the number of zebra crossings and Belisha beacons has fallen in England, being replaced by pelican crossings or puffin crossings with pedestrian-controlled traffic signals. A waiting pedestrian can stop vehicular traffic by pressing a button and waiting for the pedestrian signal of a red and green man to change to green. The green man can be accompanied by a green bicycle to indicate that the crossing is designated for pedestrians and cyclists. Continuing the bird name theme, this type of crossing is called the toucan crossing, as in two can cross. Another variation is the Pegasus crossing, where the pedestrian is accompanied by a green horse to indicate that the crossing is designated for pedestrians and horses, for example at Hyde Park Corner in London. So there's some crossings for you to look out for. And wherever sort of crossing you have, be thankful that it is now possible to cross safely. Goodbye for now.
Thanks, Janet. And that looks like a very good activity to take people out doing, doesn't it? To look for the zebra crossings, the pelican crossings, the puffin crossings, the toucan crossings, and the Pegasus crossings, and see if you can identify what crossings are in your local community. Thank you, Janet. As ever, very informative this week on zebra crossings. 70 years tomorrow. Now, our second story this evening is very appropriate. It's Halloween weekend this weekend, and of course next week, Bonfire Night. Both are unfortunately a time of year where people get affected by poor fire safety. Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service is warning people to not let Halloween become scary for all the wrong reasons. Every year on the 31st of October, children and adults are injured in accidents where candles or fireworks have set fire to costumes and hair. Plastic capes and bin liners, often used as costumes, are also increased fire risks. Prevention Delivery Manager Ian Hopkins said, "We don't want to stop people enjoying Halloween, but we do want them to celebrate safely. There is nothing more terrifying than having a fire at home or seeing someone's clothes catch fire." To encourage children to learn about celebrating Halloween and bonfire nights safely, Dorset and Wilts Fire Service are running a special competition, with the winner getting a VIP visit to a fire station. Mr. Hopkins said, "Our education team have developed a special online resource, including a safety story read by firefighter Paul. All children have to do is listen to the story, remember the safety messages, find the hidden words, and ask an adult to send that sentence in by the deadline of the 7th of November. So you will need an adult to help. You need to read the story and then find the safety messages, find the hidden words, and then write them into a sentence, and then get that submitted to Dorset and Wilts Fire and Rescue. And to find the story and the competition, pop along to the following website, www.dwfire.org, and it's /pumpkins-bonfires-and-fireworks. So www.dwfire.org.uk/pumpkins-bonfires-and-fireworks. So I'm sure if you put into Google Dorset and Wilts Fire and pumpkins, bonfires and fireworks, it will take you straight to that page. So do pop along to it, have a look at the resources, and why not enter the competition? I know children like nothing more than going along and seeing the fire engines, and a visit to a fire station will be great fun. I remember visits when I was a youngster. Now, local station watch manager Simon Judd is now going to give us some useful safety tips around this time of the year.
Hi, I'm Watch Manager Simon Judd, a fire behaviour instructor with Dorset and Wiltshire Fire and Rescue Service. We're here today to talk about the potential fire risks associated with some children's Halloween costumes. Halloween is associated with candles around the house and in pumpkins. These can pose significant danger to costumes due to the open flames. A safer option would be to use battery-operated candles. So this demonstrates how flammable children's costumes can be and the dangers of open flames. So if the worst does happen and your costume does catch fire, then stop, drop and roll to extinguish the flames. All costumes will burn. However, some have undergone additional flammability tests, meaning that they are slightly safer. So this is an example of a flame retardant costume that's had additional protection. It still melts, but there's less flames. So this demonstrates how flammable children's costumes can be and the dangers of open flames. For more information, please contact our website.
There we go, and thank you to Simon Judd for that. Now, of course, we saw there a costume burning, and of course when it burns it melts and you get that molten material, which is also, it's not just about the fire, it's about the molten material as well. Of course, if you are making costumes from plastic bin liners, they will burn a lot quicker than that costume did in that video, so do remember that. And remember, even if you're getting fire retardant costumes, retard means to slow down. It doesn't mean it won't burn, it just means it will burn slower and there will be less flame. So it is still a risk. And if you do catch a costume fire, either at Halloween or bonfire night, remember, stop, drop and roll. So stop, drop to the ground and just roll over and over and over. And that hopefully will extinguish the flames. So there we go. Thank you to Simon and Dorset and Wilts at Fire and Rescue. Now, later in the programme, during the What's On, we will be telling you how to celebrate firework nights safely. Weymouth Town Council are, as usual, organising a large event, and it's always safer to go to one of these properly organised larger events than to have bonfires and fireworks in your own garden if you're not sure how to do those things safely. So we will come back to that in a short while. In our final feature this week, we're now approaching Remembrance Sunday. And one of the familiar things that we find in the run-up to Remembrance Sunday, and we were missing last year, was the poppy collectors who go out on behalf of the Royal British Legion to jaggle their tins and sell their poppies to get those much needed funds in to support the great work that the Royal British Legion does. Now, the Poppy Appeal has been launched this week, and it's a special year for the Royal British Legion this year. They are celebrating their 100th anniversary. That's fantastic. 100 years of helping current and former service people and their families. So this week, our reporter Lydia has been looking at the launch of this year's Poppy Appeal.
The Royal British Legion has been supporting servicemen and women, ex-serving personnel and their families since 1921. The British Legion was formed on the 15th of May 1921, bringing together 4 national organisations of ex-servicemen that had established themselves after the First World War. The amalgamation of these diverse bodies can be attributed largely to 2 men, Field Marshal Earl Haig and Tom Lister of the Federation of Discharged and Demobilised Sailors and Soldiers. Lord Haig served as the President of the Royal British Legion until his death. Over 6 million men had served in the war. Of those who came back, 1.75 million had suffered some kind of disability and half of these were permanently disabled. Then there were those who depended on those who had gone to war, the wives and children, widows, and orphans, as well as the parents who had lost sons in the war, on whom they were often financially dependent. The Royal British Legion was established to care for those who had suffered as a result of service during the First World War. And for 100 years the Royal British Legion has been helping the armed forces community, serving and ex-serving personnel and their families. From those who served in the First World War to the men and women of our armed forces today, we believe no one should suffer for having served others. As the Royal British Legion reflect on their achievements over the last 100 years, they stand ready to support the next generation when they need them.
They put their hand up when the nation needed them. To fight. To serve. To sacrifice. And sacrifices big and small can stay with you for life. So if their hand goes up again, we will be there to take it. To support them, to raise them up, to fight for them. The Royal British Legion will be there. For 100 years, the Royal British Legion has been helping serving and ex-serving personnel and their families. Because no one should suffer for having served others. We stand ready to grab the hand of the next generation when they need us. Join us for the next 100.
Last year the British Legion poppy sellers couldn't be out on the streets due to the COVID pandemic, but this year they will be back selling their poppies in the usual way. This week their Royal Highnesses the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall have officially launched the 2021 Poppy Appeal. As collectors across the country return to local communities to raise vital funds for the armed forces community, their Royal Highnesses met a group of 10 collectors at Clarence House. Their Royal Highnesses said, The significance of the poppy is as relevant today as it ever was, while our armed forces continue to be engaged in operations overseas and often in the most demanding of circumstances. The simple act of wearing a poppy is only made possible because of volunteer poppy appeal collectors who share a common goal: to recognize the unique contribution of the armed forces community. Last year, for the first time in its history, the RBL had to withdraw its collectors from the streets, owing to the pandemic. This year, we warmly welcome the return of poppy appeal collectors to our communities. My wife and I are immensely proud to launch the poppy appeal in this seminal year, and we invite the nation to come together and, once again, wear a poppy in support of our armed forces community. After all, every poppy counts. So do look out for your local poppy sellers, as every contribution helps the Royal British Legion carry on their vital work.
To have all these extra clutches is amazing.
I don't often wear them because I don't want black eye.
Oh, good. That's very good. £30, goodness, yeah. I do keep it going.
She was stood outside the house while my grandparents were taking photos inside.
So there we go. Watch out for your poppy collectors, or look out for the poppy box and can at the local shop or fuel station when you go to fill up, and make sure you wear your poppy this year to support the work of the Royal British Legion. Now it's time for our weather forecast, and this week we're going over to Aidan McGivern at the Met Office, and hopefully that's going to run now. Over to Aidan.
Hello and welcome to the latest update from the Met Office. Further rain at times this weekend, but not all the time. Gusty winds will push the rain through quite quickly, followed by a mixture of sunny spells and showers. So that fresher feel, that colder feel, I think, and certainly those temperatures falling away again on Saturday night as skies clear ahead of the next system. So a touch of frost still potentially across parts of Scotland, perhaps one or two sheltered parts elsewhere. But then the wind picks up, and the next low brings this area of rain in. Again, quite a lively feature as it moves in. A noisy night to come as the winds pick up and the heavy rain comes down, and more rain warnings in force for those areas that have seen particularly wet weather so far this week. More rain could cause further disruption. The winds peaking at gale force around some exposed coasts in the west and the south, and the temperatures lifting as that rain moves in, but colder as we start things off in the far east and far north on Sunday with the sunnier skies here. The sunshine doesn't last long though. The next band of rain is moving in and lasting 2-3 hours or so in most places, but giving enough rainfall, 20-30 millimetres, to potentially cause some disruption in the south and across northwestern areas as it moves through. The wet and windy weather isn't going to make for a pleasant Sunday, I think, in many places, but it is replaced by sunny spells and further lively showers, particularly around some of these western shores, parts of Wales, southwest England, southwest Scotland and Northern Ireland. Once that system's through, well, it looks like there's more heavy rain and showers following, as well as that strong wind, which will make it feel cold on Halloween evening. And of course, we'll keep you updated on all of this weekend's weather, which you can keep up to date with via social media. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much to Aidan now, and I think our feed from the Met Office seemed to be a bit jumpy tonight, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there, whether it's our end or theirs, but hopefully before next week's programme we'll be able to look at that and fix that. So let's have a look at the weather for ourselves. Well, you won't be surprised to see locally tomorrow is going to be wet. That was very obvious from Aidan's charts this afternoon, this evening, and we can see that rain is going to go into Monday, but hopefully as the week goes on it's going to be a little bit colder, but there will be some nice sunny spells, so I think we're going into that typical autumnal weather but hopefully with not too much wind and rain, and getting those fresher days. Okay, now it's time to look at our traffic and travel. So here we go, traffic and travel. I'm pleased to report that when I went across to Portland Road this morning, that I noticed that the roadworks by the Tesco store have actually gone. They were scheduled to run through until the 2nd of November, so I'm hoping that they are not coming back. They certainly looked well and truly gone. They have caused a lot of disruption for the whole of this week for many people, so hopefully they won't be returning anytime soon. There are also some significant works going on Weymouth Way and Westway Road by Travel Dorset. I think this is about information and traffic flow systems. Scottish and Southern are working on Alexandra Road this week, and Wessex Water on Newstead Road, Southlands Road and Derwent Road. That's all we've been pre-notified of this coming week. Now, moving on, still on traffic and travel, train travel. Now, there's a sorry state of affairs coming up on the trains over the next month. You remember last week I gave you a pre-notice of work starting in the middle of the month and affecting the line between Weymouth and Waterloo. But actually, there's work starting this weekend and for the week ahead, starting on Monday, November the 1st. At Brockenhurst, and is going to affect the service between Bournemouth and Southampton. And then the next batch of work starts on the 18th of November and run through to the 3rd of December. So I think the message is, if you're travelling by train during this period from now to the 3rd of December, certainly go onto the website or ring up the National Rail Inquiries and check how it's affected. There are amended timetables, there are bus replacement services, and there are lots and lots of work going on, both on the Weymouth to Waterloo line and the line that goes to Dorchester West and off to Bristol as well. So do watch out if you're travelling by train. Okay, moving now to our What's On. Coming up soon, tomorrow, at Weymouth Pavilion, first of all, is their Festival of Remembrance. 4th of November, Sun Records The Concert. 6th of November, Oi Santana. 7th of November, Sunday Night Comedy with Shappi Khorsandi. I think I said that right, Shappi Khorsandi. 11th to 3rd of November, Wow, I've got a show on called The Joy of Musicals. And on the 16th of November, comedian John Bishop is at the Pavilion. So lots of things going on there. Lots more information on their website. So do pop along to the Weymouth Pavilion website or give the box office a ring on 01305 783 225. Now, I said that Weymouth Town Council were doing their usual thing for Guy Fawkes Night. So just to give you an overview of that. Friday the 5th of November, so that's this Friday. The fun starts at 4 p.m. with a family fun fair on the Pavilion forecourt, joining many stalls and attractions on Weymouth Seafront, which will be in place throughout the evening. At 6:30 p.m, the traditional children's Guy Fawkes competition gets underway in the foyer of the Pavilion. Children wanting to enter the competition should arrive at Weymouth Pavilion foyer with their parents or carers, and their entry from 6 p.m. for judging at 6:30. The competition will be judged by special guests, including the Mayor of Weymouth, Colin Huckle, the cast of Weymouth Pavilion's Christmas pantomime Aladdin, and team leaders from Weymouth Swimming Pool and Fitness Centre. The lighting of the giant beach bonfire will take place at 7:40 p.m, followed by the firework display over Weymouth Bay at 8 p.m. The fireworks for the display will be provided by Payne's Fireworks and launched from HMS Denham. People attending the evenings of activities are asked where possible to leave cars at home and use public transport. It's always one of those evenings where the town gets absolutely congested. So there we go, that's this Friday, Guy Fawkes Night. All of that information is also on the Weymouth Town Council website. At the Nose, they have the last of their Halloween fun tomorrow. And lots of Halloween activities on throughout the day, starting at 11 a.m. And also, I think they've got Twitch, the Witch Magic Show on as well. And their next event at the Pavilion, at the Nothe, that's published at the moment, is on the 20th of December, Picklebottom the Elf, and A Christmassy Show. So there's nothing else up on the website at the moment, but do keep an eye on the website like I do, and I'll let you know if I spot anything coming up. Of course, if you've got any events that are happening and you want me to share them with people, do drop us a line at news@whiteregis.tv, and we'll be happy to mention your events next week or in future weeks. Now it's time for our film review this week, and this week's film is called Unwelcome. There's something lurking at the bottom of the garden. That's basically the short title for it. Unwelcome stars Hannah John Kamen and Douglas Booth as a couple who escape their urban nightmare to the tranquility of rural Ireland, only to discover malevolent, murderous goblins lurking in the gnarled ancient wood at the foot of their new garden. Additional cast include Golden Globe nominee Colm Meaney, Jamie Lee O'Donnell, Chris Whalley and Christian Nairn. Directed by John Wright, the film is based on an original screenplay by Mark Stay. The film was also reunited the Grabbers creature team, including prosthetics from Sean Harrison, who has worked on some of the world's highest grossing blockbusters, including Harry Potter films, Star Wars, The Phantom Menace and Avengers. Along with creatures designs by Paul Caitlin, who worked on Maleficent, Thor and Fantastic Beasts, and long-time Wright collaborator, VFX or special effects supervisor Paddy Easton, who worked on 28 Weeks Later, Harry Potter, the Prisoner of Azkaban and Grabbers. So lots of interesting people worked on this film, and it looks like it's going to be interesting. So let's watch the trailer now and uncover the secrets that Unwelcome will bring when it comes to cinema screens early in 2022.
We've been gifted this beautiful house.
We live here. Can you believe it?
Maeve wanted to keep the place in your family, Jamie.
We really appreciate the house.
Well, then you know. It's got a hole in the roof.
The Whelans, they'll do a good job. Jamie, there. You just carry on with your day as if we weren't here.
There is one thing I need to show you, and it's a little bit peculiar. Every evening before sunset, she'd leave a blood offering here.
Sorry, did you say blood? For who?
For the Red Caps. They'll need feeding. They'll be hungry.
Can I get in my own house, please?
You own it, dear.
How many times have the English come to this country and told us what's ours is now theirs?
They need to know their place.
Tim!
What did you leave out tonight?
Oh, shoot.
You can't miss a single day.
Hello? Is anyone there?
I can't be scared. Not in my own house.
Don't leave your missus alone with the lads.
Help me!
They'll need feeding. Every day. Every day. Every day. Every day. Every day. Every day.
We just came here for some peace.
There we go. If you like a spooky movie for the new year, Unwelcome is that movie in cinemas early in 2022. Now, we are almost at the end of another programme. Just a reminder that our regular services are at All Saints Church tomorrow at 8 o'clock and 9:30. 9:30 will be live streamed, and 11 o'clock at St Edmunds. And let's just try and work out, in half an hour or so we'll be going live for our evening quiz, which will start at 7:30. and so you'll be very welcome to join us for that. Now, also, whilst mentioning the quiz, on the 20th of November, we won't have an online quiz, but we will be doing a face-to-face quiz at 7:30 p.m. in the Memorial Hall in White Regis. It's a fundraising thing for the church roof. Our tickets, I think, are going to be £5 per person, and it's tables of 6 or teams of 6. Yeah, so if you enjoy the quizzes, do pop along there. We will be putting information up on the church website about tickets probably this week, and we will be publicising that. So do look out for that if you enjoy a quiz. That's Saturday the 20th of November at 7:30. And remember, on Fridays we have our gardening programme broadcasting each week at 7 p.m. A Year Gardening with Clive Gray. And of course you can catch up on those if you miss those at any time. And if you've got any news for us, of course, do get in touch anytime during the week. News at White Regis TV, and we'll be pleased to look at that and incorporate it in next week's programme. And of course, if you want to keep up with the local news during the week, remember your local radio stations. These are community stations run locally by local people for you. A whole range of different types of broadcast, different types of programmes, and I have to say across those 3 stations there is something for everyone, from the teenagers up to those who like classical music, religious programmes and gardening, to those that like their pop and all sorts. So do pay a visit to them and see what they have to offer. Now, just before we finish, to say as we get into the winter season, we have seen and we are hearing on the media of further increases in the COVID-19 cases. And obviously we covered earlier the need for boosters and making sure you get vaccinated. Unfortunately, the numbers in local hospital are increasing, as are the numbers nationally who are unfortunately dying again as a result of COVID. Now, to keep awareness of COVID-19 up and the importance of being vaccinated and staying safe, the NHS have released a new public information film. So as we close tonight, before the final credits, we will just run the NHS latest public information film, and after that we look forward to being back with you next Saturday at 6 p.m. So it's good night from me.
It's good that so many of us are double vaccinated, but viruses like colds, flu and COVID-19 can spread quickly in winter.
So many adults and most children will be offered a free flu vaccine.
And if you're over 50 or in an at-risk group, you'll also need a COVID-19 booster.
Vaccines boost our immunity and protect us from dangerous viruses.
Of course, I've got mine.
Get vaccinated, get boosted, get protected. Find out if you're eligible for a free flu or COVID-19 booster vaccine now.